How's it going? So this one is called Don't Fight Naked. Um, Not for kids, but here we go. So basically my whole life growing up in the city that I grew up with in uh there's this spot that we've gone camping since I was about 5 years old. It's up north a little bit, kind of by Sacramento, and there's a river that runs through it. They call it Cache Creek, but it's actually a river. And there's a campsite that attaches. It's like basically a big hill with not too big of a slant and all these grass uh camping sites with a bunch of trees, barbecue pits, fire pits, all that stuff. And we've been going there since I was little. We've always loved the place because you can walk down to the water, or you can have somebody drive you up, and you can take tubes and tube down the rapids and end up at the water right where right where you're basically camping. So I think I want to say I was like 17, 18 during this trip. It was a real good trip because a large part of my family decided to go this year. I've got over like definitely over 45 first cousins, and a lot of them have kids, and I invited probably about like six of my friends. And so we go up there to drink and not be messed with by the police. Basically, we go up there to shoot guns and eat good food, drink liquor, have a good time. And we all kind of try to hold back during the day because it gets hot as hell up there. So we go down to the water, drink beer at the water, swim across, jump off the rocks, and then we come back up to the campsite and eat, play some dominoes, you know what I mean, tell stories, laugh, have a good time. And we usually, the younger generation of us, we like to go down to the water during the nighttime. There's sand right there, and there's like a huge cliff face right in front of you, and it's there's no light pollution, so you can see all the really cool stars. Especially if there's no moon, you can see all kinds of. It's amazing. Like one of my top five favorite places in the world. Um, so we all drive up there for July 4th. We probably have about six campsites. There's probably like maybe about like 50 of us. There's a lot of us. And the first night, after we unpack everything, set up all the barbecues, get everything going, uh, there's also this big group that goes out there. They've been going out there since I've seen them out there. Out of like probably the 20 times I've been out there, I've seen them out there probably half the time. There's this huge group of Rastafarians. They all got these big dreads, and they go down to the water and have fun too. They're just out there to have a good time. But I know some of them because going out there for so long, you recognize them. Sometimes they'll invite us over. Sometimes we'll invite them over. And this particular time, they had this big giant pig on a pike just rotating over the grill. And so we went over there and kicked it with them. And there was this dog. This dog kept coming around, and like I think somebody left their dog there. It was pretty messed up, but it was like a golden lab, maybe like half lab, half golden retriever or something. But we were feeding it every day and giving it water because it was hella hot, and it was just bouncing around to all the different campsites, getting food and water and hanging out. But some shitty owner, I think, left it behind. But so the sun starts to go down, and we're all just sitting around the fire, bullshitting, joking, telling stories and everything. And one of my little cousins is like, "There's something floating over there." I was like, "No, no, there's not." And he's like, "No, no, look, there's something floating over there." And I look, and I see this thing floating off the ground that's glowing. It's glowing like it's like all green, and it has like this weird mask, and it's just this freaking glowing floating thing. And I like everybody's looking at it kind of freaking out. I'm like, oh, what the, what the hell could this thing be, right? And so finally we get up enough courage and we all mob over there, and this thing comes running up hella fast, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. And when it finally gets close to us, I found out what had happened. Some dick took some glow sticks or some glow in the dark paint or something, and that poor dog that had been running around, he had rubbed that glow in the dark stuff all over this dog except for the bottom of its legs. And he rubbed, like, he made like a, almost like a skull face for it, so it looked like this floating ghost that was mobbing through the campsites. Anyways, animal control ended up coming through and picking them up and everything. But so yeah, that was the first night, us tripping out on some glowing monster that was just floating around everywhere. That was crazy. So then the second night, same routine. We get up, eat, drink, eat. And then we had made plans to go down to the water that night. We bring, lanterns and ice chests and chairs to sit on so we can all just bullshit and have a good time and drink some hard liquor. And so usually it's like we'll take one of the trucks, drive it down there, and unload all the stuff. And there's some little parking areas right there. And so I'm carrying I have this block rocker, it's just a speaker for music, and it's on wheels, just like a suitcase. And same thing with one of the ice chests with a bunch of the liquor in it. So we walk down. There's probably about 20 of us decided to go down, including a couple of my cousin's little kids. They're probably around like anywhere from like 5 to like 13. There's probably like 6 kids, you know what I mean? We don't let them drink or anything like that, but they're hanging out with their parents and having a good time playing in the sand and all that. So we get down there, and first thing we see is we hear some commotion and kind of see there's like another little lantern over there on the other side of the beach. Well, down the beach a little bit. So we hear people being kind of like rowdy. We hear girls, screaming, and just, I guess they were having a good time themselves. We set up the little area, hook up a little bonfire, and we went over to them, or I walked over to them to offer them a beer to, just kind of be friendly or whatever. And when I got over there, I realized that it was 2 of these real tall, skinny dudes and 2 of these, I don't know how to say this, hippopotami. Is that what's plural for hippopotamus? These 2 girls that were well over 350 pounds, and they were actually naked, like they were skinny dipping, and I could tell by their eyes that they were on some type of psychedelic, like they were on some drugs. So as soon as I saw that they're naked, I was like, oh, I've got you some beers right here, man. By the way, if you guys are going to be skinny dipping, just please try to stay over here. We got some kids over there, you know what I mean? And we don't want them to see any naked people. And they're laughing and, whatever. I figure, yeah, they're just going to keep to themselves and do their thing. Go back to my group, and, we're just kind of standing in a circle, me and my cousin Mo and my cousin Josh. We're just sipping a beer, and then out of nowhere, one of these dudes, we hear him come running up. One of these naked druggies comes running up, ass naked. He has a towel tied around his neck like a cape. I think he thought it would be funny to come running up naked, and I guess it was like a type of practical joke for him. But we had kids right there. These kids don't need to be seeing no naked grown man. So right away, he gets dropped, and then we're whooping his ass, and then the other dude comes up, and we're beating his ass, and then there are 2 swamp creatures come emerging out of the creek, and they come walking up, screaming at us, leave him alone, and we're like, like, get your ass, like, get your naked ass some clothes, man. Nobody wants to see any of that. So those 2 girls are pissed off, talking all kinds of shit, and it's like, we're not trying to get, like, I'm not trying to touch you, we're not trying to have you touch us. Take your mans and fucking go, you know what I mean? Basically, like, the night's over, you guys done fucked it up. Like, the kids are scared, you're weird, we're gonna go back up to the campsite, right? And so it's like they're still talking all this shit, like still running their mouths, and they didn't even care about like grabbing their clothes or anything. So I was just like, look, you guys go up first, and we'll come up second. We'll have a gap between us, so there's no more problems. Don't want any more problems. Just get your ass up to your campsite. You know what I mean? Do what you're gonna do. So they're talking shit, saying they're gonna tell the. So by the way, there's a guy who's been running that campsite for a long time. You know those guys that are like real big into native culture, like Native American culture, and they swear up and down that they're Native American, but they'll have like blonde hair and blue eyes, like wear too much turquoise and shit. This is the guy who ran the campsite, and you could tell he probably wanted to be a cop his whole life. He always kept this big can of bear mace on his leg. It was like strapped over his thigh and had a little holster for this bear mace, and he was about his business. He wasn't gonna take shit from nobody. So they go walking up, and we come walking up behind them, and I guess someone had, I don't know who, if it was one of us or whatever, had warned the guy about the commotion that was going on down at the water. So he comes charging up with a lantern, and one of those guys, still naked, mind you, covered in blood, drugged out, goes running up to this dude. I think he was so excited to snitch, he forgot that he was ass naked, covered in blood, and looked crazy. So he goes running up to the guy and drops to his knees, and he like grabs the guy's pants, and like before this dude could say anything, before this dude could say, oh, they beat us up, that dude with his blonde ponytail jumped back, slapped his hands off of his pants, pulled out his bear mace, and just dosed that guy. So now he's got open wounds, bear mace, on drugs, and just I had one of the worst days ever, I swear. And then when those two girls and his friends run up yelling, stop, 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 he bear maced all of them too. I was on the ground howling. That was one of the funniest things I've fucking ever seen in my life, dude. It was fantastic. I mean, talk about karma, you know what I mean? Not only did they get their ass beat, they got bear maced. The drugs got to amplify all those horrible feelings. And then the Rangers came and arrested him for indecent exposure. Indecent exposure, yeah. So that's why you don't fight naked, kids. All right, catch you on the next one. I send mine.